We're here at the Women's Forum in Deauville with human rights activist and former Minister of State of Egypt, Moushira Mahmoud Khattab. Welcome to INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you for having me.
Mid-February, when Hosni Mubarak resigned, the world celebrated Egypt's new dawn. Recent violence suggests, however, that the path to a stable democracy may have changed tracks. How has your assessment changed over the past 6 months?
Well, the very inspiring revolution that happened in January 25th signaled the awakening of Egypt. Now, the most important segment of the Egyptian population, and probably the biggest, which is the youth, are now very active. Before, they were criticized for being passive and indifferent and that they don't participate. Now they're very, very involved. So this revolution is still in the making. It's not finished yet. And we are living the transition. It is too early to judge the outcome now. We're living the very difficult transition. And if you go through history, in most revolutions, the transition is always the most difficult part. The society, the different forces in the society who have been dormant for so many years are discovering themselves, are testing their strengths, and there is a power struggle, of course, which is natural. The problem we have now is that some people use religion to justify discrimination against certain groups of the society, and I think that this has nothing to do with the religion. It's the interpretation of certain groups to justify a certain course of action.
Is this violence symptomatic of a deeper divide between the Egyptian people?
I have to be very candid with you that over the last 20 to 25 years, we have seen very conservative, if not reactionary, religious groups gaining power on the ground by stealth. They managed to influence the thinking of the people to deepen certain divide. It's not non-reversible. This could be reversible. Now that people are free to express their views, I'm very proud to say that for the first time in Egypt, you see big people like Mohammed al-Baradei and others participating in the shaping of the country. So I am very optimistic that this, what can you say, this blurry situation will clear up now, and I'm also happy to see the liberals trying to organize themselves.
Egypt has a unique position in the region because of its long-standing civilization and because of its peace treaty with Israel. Do you think this might be compromised?
Not at all. If you follow closely the language of the course of events after the revolution took place, there has always been consistent, official respect for the peace treaty. The current debate is very healthy because you cannot suppress the emotions of the people. People have the right to express themselves. So it was so sad when they went and they attacked the Israeli embassy, but you have to respect how do they feel.
How has the military's role been shifting over the past few weeks?
I want to tell you something. Since 1952, Egypt is governed by a military man, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Anwar al-Sadat, Hosni Mubarak. Now we are still governed by the military, but it's a different military. These are a group of honest Egyptians who were not groomed to run a country. They found themselves responsible for running a very difficult situation, and they are doing their best. They are bound to make mistakes, but they do it in good faith. The good thing about them is that they try to have a dialogue with the people. I know that this dialogue has not always been as it should be, but it's a learning process. The one thing that everyone is sure that we want this transition to be over quickly, to give room for proper presidential elections and a new solid constitution, and the military, definitely the military need to go back to their very important duty to protect the country. We must not forget that it was the people who asked the military to take over the revolution and to protect the revolution. And I think if it were not for the role played by the military at the height of the revolution, it would have been a civil war. What happens now is that religion is being politicized. It's being used as a tool to justify discrimination against certain groups, like the Christians or women or what have you.
As a civil rights activist and then later as minister, you were at the heart of some fundamental reforms in children and women's rights in Egypt. Do you think that an Islamic party could win the upcoming election and change this?
Yes, very much so. Like I said, they're very well organized. They have been changing the minds of the people on Islam and how Islam looks at other believers, contrary to the core ethos of Islam. It's my biggest concern.
And do you think that will have a very serious effect on the rights of women and children?
Definitely. Right now, they are trying to read these concerns and appease the worries of many segments of the society. But if you read very well the discourse, there is discrimination against women. Like one of the candidates, when he is asked if his wife will play a role as a first lady to help the marginalized, and then he said, "No, what are you talking about? My wife, her place is at home." You know, this gives you an idea about how they look at women's rights. It's the transition, it's the eruption of a volcano, and we have to wait till the dust settles down, and I am sure Egypt will be much stronger than before. Don't forget that the previous regime invested a lot in the infrastructure. So now if any investor goes to Egypt, you have number one, IT system. Roads, many roads were constructed very well. The problem that Egypt faces now is human development, raising the quality of education, capacity building for the labor force, and catering for the aspiration of the youth.
Moushira Mahmoud Khattab, thank you very much for being with us on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you.